we have to create the right vibe, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at PurelyArsenalFP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome back to another edition of a Purely Arsenal sit-down podcast. We're back after the international break, and we're back, bit of a whimper to be honest. 2-0 loss to Bournemouth, devastating stuff, and to talk about it, cathartic podcast here. Neil Shah with me. How you doing, Neil?
I'm elated, Shaq. What a wonderful performance.
Sarcastic so-and-so. And I'm also James Johnstone. How you doing, James?
Yeah. I've had better days, but the old "you're only pod when you're winning." We got to put that to bed and just get this over and done with, and see if
that's a myth. It's rubbish. We're always there when we lose,
and see if we can give each other some comfort, and then give the world some comfort, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. We need it. I was actually looking for a pod a couple of hours ago, and there was nothing up. I couldn't find anything. They're all paid ones now, I presume. But ours will be there. But let's get into it then. I think we'll do a little bit on the lineup, because it is maybe a little chat there on the lineup. Obviously, international break, we pulled a few people. I was worried going into this game. I think Bournemouth are a very good side, especially at home. I know they lost to Leicester away last week, but generally their stats sort of back them being a very, very good side at home, and they've never really got the results. Unfortunately, they did get this one, but I've always thought they've been a very difficult side, and under Areola, I thought they've looked very, very strong. So I was worried. When I saw the lineup, I have to say I was a little bit more worried. I didn't love it. I didn't love the three in midfield that all had sort of, in my head, lacking creativity. I didn't love the fact we had two wingers that I worry about a little bit defensively from what I've seen of them, as opposed to Martinelli and Saka. Maybe we didn't have much choice there. And then obviously White returning after a long layoff, it turned out to show that he was pretty rusty, to say the least. James, did you have any concerns like that, or additional concerns?
See, this is it now, is that for me, obviously, hindsight is a wonderful thing. So the three in the middle, I have no problem with. And I saw when I went on to Twitter and everything else, there was a lot of people, that's 3 DMs, that's 3. And the amount of people I had rows with saying that Moreno is not a DM. I was like, what are you? And they're like, yeah, he played there for Sociedad. I'm like, again, showing that you know nothing about football, because he played there once last season when Zubimendi was injured in a game. The rest of the time he played as this number 8, which is what he played for Arsenal yesterday. He didn't play as a 6 yesterday for Arsenal at all. If you think that, then I would either give up, or maybe rewatch it again and learn the positions of football. But yeah, the winger one for me, even before the game, I was a bit worried, like you said, from a defensive aspect. And going back to the hindsight is a wonderful thing. If you look at Gabriel Martinelli when he comes on, I know I'm jumping the gun a bit here and you're going to go on to the chance later, and I put it in the WhatsApp, especially with you, Neil, because I know me and you how much we love Trossard. Within 2 minutes of coming off the bench, he already had a much better game than Trossard had for God knows how long Trossard was on for. And I understand that he probably had him on the bench because, he wasn't fit enough to start, but he was fit enough to come on. For me, I've always gone by the theory of if you're fit enough to be on the bench, you're fit enough to play, regardless. So I think maybe, again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. He should have started Martinelli and then maybe brought Trossard, or even brought a Sterling on, because Sterling, even though he was the one to get hooked, I believe that even if you had Martinelli out on the right instead of on the left, he would have protected Ben White, who had arguably his worst performance in God knows how long because he was overexposed. One, because he had no winger there like Saka who does protect him. And two, which you're going to get into in a bit as well, Saliba obviously gets sent off, who really helps Ben White when things go wrong as well. So, yeah, I think lineup-wise, those two wingers, I think you could have started one and maybe got away with it. But when you play the both of them, sadly, I think you're going to ask for stuff like what happened yesterday to happen.
Yeah, and even Jesus. I mean, I know we've not been a fan of him, but wide, he does do your defensive work. He's proven to do that. I just think...
Well, that's it, doesn't it? You know with him, you get all the huff and puff, just he ain't going to score you a goal. Yeah,
which is fine in this sort of situation. At the very least, at the point of the red card, you know what I mean? Like that I found it really odd. The substitution he made, but we'll get to that. But Jesus would have been fine for me. I just felt I feel like we've moved away from Trossard being a wide player. We've seen so much of him now. We know that he works better when he's closer to the centre of the pitch. I don't think, obviously every now and then it works, but it certainly felt off to me. And then the Ben White one again, like you said, completely exposed. We did him no favours. I mean, whilst I think he was poor anyway, we did him no favours, and it felt interesting to, against City when we lost 10 men, we kind of really exposed sort of Martinelli to two jobs and maybe even Havertz, but we knew they were capable of it. Ben White just come back from a 5-week layoff. It just seemed really weird to expose him to two jobs. You're going to be our right back and our right winger and our right centre back. Cheers, Ben. And I was like, it's a bit weird. He wasn't doing the right back bit very well. So it was just strange, wasn't it? It was very odd. Neil, what a devastating loss. I mean, no doubt about every loss at this point. When you're hopefully, fighting for honours feels like a triple, gut punch from Brian Conor McGregor kind of thing. But Neil, to be honest, if we're honest and evaluate the game as a whole, we weren't good with 11 men and we were poor with 10. I think some of the stats, I think James gave it, he's won 3 games in 17, is it, with 10 men. Wenger won 31, lost 26 with 10 men. And I think this was my whole issue with it. My issue with it was not us losing. It was us losing without really showing like acting like we wanted to win. And you can lose with 10 men by going for the game and getting caught. But we didn't go for the game. I didn't feel we went for it. And I think the sub sent a message maybe to the whole team, or certainly to me watching, that we weren't really intending to go for it. We were intending to sit deep and try to catch them, with a Martinelli type chance. But that was the only one that came along. I thought it was a really poor performance from the collective, with 11, with 10, and the manager in terms of how he adapted to it, Neil.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I was thinking that obviously Kirill and Trossard are going to get all the negativity with this because of the two mistakes, should we say, which cost us the 2 goals. But I thought actually, maybe aside from Rice, who probably had a bit of a better game, I think Kai Havertz always works hard. He's good with his feet. And Gabriel as well. I think the 3 you guys mentioned as well on WhatsApp. I thought collectively, as you said, it was a very, very poor performance, irrespective of the sending off. I don't think anyone was, up for the game. Then it would feel there was no cohesion that you normally see with these players. We've got used to them playing so well together. Do you remember as early as last season in that kit that caused a bit of controversy, that away kit? We were breaking records away. We were going away and scoring 4 or 5 goals in about 3 minutes. We were just so on it. And this season, I think we've just stuttered. Michael made a good point. I messaged him and I said, "What the hell was that?" And he was like, "It's been coming, Neil. We've been getting away with it." I think we've all been kind of mentioning that. We haven't really, although we're up there and we're grinding out the results. And, as with the City game, we literally threw our bodies on the line to try and protect that lead only till the very end. But we still managed to walk away with a point. It's like we haven't really got out of 3rd or 4th gear this season, away as well as home. And it's just, I think this showcased it. And I don't know, again, whether the international duty, didn't help with some of our players away, or whether it was just a break that they hadn't played with each other for a couple of weeks. And as you said, very rusty. Ben White being a prime example of him coming back and not being himself either. It was just awful to watch. It really was. Subs aside as well. I mean, there was a point really, I remember, and it probably wouldn't have meant anything, but it kind of highlighted for me the whole attitude. Right at the end, I think there was a couple of minutes of injury time left, and we were 2-0 down, and we were still faffing around. We're going side to side, and then actually played it all the way back to Raya again. And I'm like, what are you doing? At least for the away fans, try and give them a shot on target, for God's sakes. They're the ones that have trouble. They're the ones that paid the money. I mean, Rice came out with it near the end saying that, it's disappointing for the fans who paid the money. They worked hard-earned money to come down here and watch us. And, we've got to do better. And, yeah, fair enough. It was a good interview from him. It was an honest interview. But what are you doing as a team that you're not even trying to even just have a go right at the end? You never know. I've seen teams do it, Jack and James. I've seen them, with injury time getting 2 goals, because you get that one, it kind of sets a little bit of panic into the team, the opposition team, and you never know. You just don't know, do you? But no, let's do this. Let's play a bit of side to side and push it back all the way to Raya. And that, for me, summed up the whole game. It was too over cautious for me. And the midfield did sum that up. Going with, I'm not talking about them, whether they're all DMs or not, but how long have I been saying Odegaard is injured? We don't have Fabio. We don't have ESR, but we've got a great talent in Ethan. And why isn't he playing him? Why the hell isn't he putting Ethan on? Because for me, at the moment, he's probably the only one who can create anything. Saka, who, all right, he's not Odegaard, but at least when he plays, something's going to happen. We've always said it, even if he's having, by his standards, a poor game, he'll still get the numbers and he'll still create something up from the front. But we had nothing at all. And yes, then obviously the substitutions and everything, it just kind of adds on to that. But Ethan, he should be playing. I'm sorry, if he doesn't start the next game, I don't know what he has to do for Arteta to realise that this guy's got it. Look at the cameo he came on. Look how he did. I thought you were asking on WhatsApp who's our player. I thought Ethan was our best player of the match. I'm actually going to say it.
Well, he's providing a zip that we currently don't have. That every time I watch him, he provides an urgency, an intention to create and move the ball forward that we're really lacking across the board in games like this. And and there's an argument at parts of the season, I think. Not a lot happens in the first 25, but I think our ball progression's really poor. And I think the Trossard pass back when it gets to the red card is kind of a representative of what was going on in the game. Like, why are you playing that ball in the first place? You've not got great amount of pressure on you, even if there's not a perfect ball on. Why aren't you taking a touch and looking inside? Why, when you're almost in their final third, are you trying to play a ball back to Raya? I can only assume it was back to Raya. That to me is representative of how we sort of went into the game. No urgency, no intention of trying to play early balls and turn it round and get in behind them. It was all so safe, so safe, and really, really difficult to watch. But James, I mean, we've got to look at the red card from an internal perspective. First of all, dreadful ball. Saliba reacts really poorly in the moment, and you can have no excuses really when they give the red card in that sense, can you?
No, I mean, I was shocked that he got a yellow card. I put it straight in there and I went, that's a red, boys. I knew. And again, and I had this discussion last night because the consensus on the podcast that I was on last night, especially within the chat, was that red card, again, is this conspiracy against Arsenal, etc., and that ruined the game. Even before then, and I'm glad you've mentioned it, we were second best to everything before this red card. So I did not see anything before that red card happened that made me think we're probably going to win here today. There was a period, like you said there, where I'm trying my best to I'm racking my brain as to who put it to who and everything else. Someone cut it across and Declan Rice was there in the box, yeah? I know you're trying to... I'll come back to this red card incident, I promise. But he had the ball and all Declan Rice has got to do, and to me, I'm convinced last season he does it. For some reason this season, like you said, he's not fully twigged, he's not there. All he's got to do is set and shoot, and we probably go 1-0 up. But yet he goes sideways again to Trossard, who's got 2 or 3 players. I put it in the chat, didn't I? I was like, why have you just played it there? Like, of all the passes to make, the one to Trossard, like you said, it's all safe and everything else. It's not a safe pass to make. It's the dangerous one to make. And I'm baffled as to why we just can't continue to, like Neil said, to keep going sideways. And then when it goes sideways, there's nowhere else we can go. Back to Gabriel, back to the goalkeeper, who then does these Michael Jackson type moonwalks on the ball. He kept dragging it back, and then waiting and wait. And I'm just like, you're just giving Bournemouth time to reset. Because all you're going to do is pump it long, and you're going to pump it long to Havertz, who's got no one running in front of him, let alone around him. And so he's going to have to try, like you said, and do 4 of, let's make Havertz a Swiss Army knife player that can hold the ball up, flick it over 3 people's heads, run, control it, then score. It's just impossible. But yeah, the red card, there's so much going into it, because when they do that aerial view, you're thinking, and I know this Evangelsson's a quick guy. I know that he's a very, very quick player. But when you do that aerial view and you're showing Ben White, even though Ben White quickly turns to see where Semenyo is, I think Ben White, once that guy's away, and we know it's a 1 versus 1 situation, Ben White's not slow. I know a lot of people think he is, but he's not. I think Ben White sprints as much as he can to get that back and potentially wins it. However, this is where you get into this letter of the law and all this other crap, in that you can't, the officials can't then debate, this is a running, is he really faster than him? Is he faster than that? That's where you get into that. But for me, I look at it and think, is it really a clear and obvious error? The whole thing is that it can't re-ref the game. To him, it wasn't clear and obvious enough for him to give a red. So he initially gave the yellow. So to me, I think for that, when it's subjective like that, even though I believed it was a red, I think it's too subjective to then change his mind. Because that to me is re-reffing it. That's where I get into, and I mean, they re-reffed it because they think that it was wrong and it was a red, which again, contradicting sort of what I say, I thought it was a red initially as well. So it's a really, really difficult one. However, all 3 of these reds that people have debated that we've had all season, they're all self-inflicted. They're all things that the only people that can prevent them from happening, ironically enough, is us. And that's what we need to do. Again, had this conversation last night. The referees from this era of this shirt that were behind me were worse than the ones that we have now. And they didn't have VAR. Some of them couldn't even keep up with the speed of the game because they were too out of shape. But you know what we did? We didn't bring them into it because we knew, the Invincibles knew these lot are crap regardless. Don't bring them into it. Just be as good as we can be. Like Neil, you say it nearly every single week, every single podcast that you're on. You go, we have to be as perfect as we can be because 1, we're dealing with that juggernaut that is Man City, and 2, we're dealing with all these numpties. And yesterday, we weren't even at the lowest of standard that we can be. We, forget perfect. We weren't even normal, let alone perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All our good players.
So yeah. And again, it's that whole. Sorry, Jack. I know I'm whittling on, and I'll stop in a sec. But it goes back to me, to the mentality of when William Gallas threw that strop. In that when one thing goes wrong, and one person, as a collective, the whole of them shit themselves. Every single one. Every single one. I know we've got a few players there that can come out of it and go, hey, I know we weren't great, but I was at least better than this one, then this one. But that's still, for me, that's nitpicking for me, because as a collective, they all just crumbled. Even before that red card, they didn't look great, like I said. But especially after that red card, none of them, for me, done anything to really, go, okay, you tried to get us out of this.
I think Saliba's silly as well, because he's one of the fastest centre-backs around. I mean, no matter how fast I've watched it, I mean, he might be faster than I think, but he's catching him. Saliba's not, even though he's on the wrong side of him, he's 40 yards from goal. He's 50 yards from goal. He's catching him. So why? I know it's an instant thing, but why are you even thinking about taking him down at that point? I do not understand it. Very frustrating. Like you said, all three self-inflicted. I would say I'd say I'm relatively objective on Arsenal. I tweeted straight after it, I don't want to talk about the red, because, when you have this many, you've got to look at yourselves first and foremost. But I would say when you watch all three of them, I think the only frustration I could see from a general perspective would be that I think all three of the red cards we've had this season probably don't get given majority of the time across the league. I think when you look at that incident, as much as you could say it's a red, I think the general consensus with that type of thing is they're too far away from goal. It's a booking. And I think if you look at our previous instances, Aubameyang at Leicester, when Jared Gillay was on VAR again, I believe, through beyond Johnny Evans, closer to goal. Exactly the same booking. Saka against Konza at Villa, even worse. He's through even more. There's no one catching him. No way. There's no one within 3 or 4 yards of the line of Konza. Booking straight away. In fact, it was a booking and then reviewed by their silly VAR panel a few days later with Dermot Gallagher or whatever, and he said, not only does he think it was a sensible booking because it was too far away from goal, he also thinks Saka might have fouled Konza in the process. And I just thought, it was ridiculous. But my point there is, but like you said, even with 10 men, I mean, Liverpool went to Newcastle last year and won with 10 men. And, they were 1-0 down when they went down to 10 men, I believe. They lost Van Dijk at that point. I think it was Van Dijk they lost. So it was very similar in that sense, you know what I mean? So the belief from Arteta that you can't evaluate a game going down to 10 men, one, you're doing it all the time, mate. So you're going to need to. But secondly, I don't buy that. I think the only exception for that is sort of the City type game where you're like, okay, this is one of the hardest games anyway. Whatever you needed to do, I've got no issue with it. And that's where I think with City, we all came out like, it was whatever he wanted to do there, it paid off. It really did, almost paid off. But with the other ones, I can't.
Sorry, Jack, just quick as well. At City, though, we were winning.
Yeah. Neil mentioned so yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something to hold on to.
Yeah. I mean, that yesterday, you've got no, you've got nothing to hold on to.
Yeah.
Like that for me is another thing that I get angry at, in that, again, I'm like, you're reactive, not proactive to the game state that's happening to, taking off Sterling to me, even though Sterling hasn't shown himself to be anything. I'm like, well, you've taken off your only outlet of pace. Not that his pace is electrifying compared to what it used to be, but I'm like, you've completely removed any kind of fear factor to your side with that sub. And it cost us.
Yeah, for me, the sub to make there, if he was going to make one, because he didn't make it straight away. He waited about 10 minutes. So he was definitely in two minds about, what do I do? The sub to make there was Martinelli to come on and be in one of the wide positions, because he's already proven that he's our best offensive winger. So if you're going to have to do two jobs from someone, get the player that can do it to do two jobs. The argument of we needed to bring a centre-back on because we just lost one, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Ben White can play centre-back. Thomas Partey can play right-back. Declan Rice can play centre-back. you could just have shifted everyone over. Drop Partey in. We don't love it, but it's needs must. Put White at centre-back. And because you're going to have to do that anyway soon because of the Saliba red card, may as well get a look at it. And drop Rice deeper where everyone wants him anyway. So I don't... And then you've got that sort of two up top sort of thing that we did later on against Brighton, which really, really worked, I thought. I found it absolutely confusing to bring on Kivior at right centre-back when he isn't a right centre-back in the first place. He doesn't even play left centre-back, right centre-back. He usually plays left-back. I found it absolutely really, really odd. I found it really strange move, and I just think it sent the wrong message. Beyond that, a couple of things I don't want to get into because I don't want to go down the conspiracy route because it drives me crazy, to be honest. But I have to say, Jared Gillett being on any game that involves anyone possibly being in the title, I think is absolutely beyond me. He's not been allowed to ref a Liverpool game since 2019, as far as I'm aware, and I believe that was a testimonial game. He's not been allowed to because they basically proven that he's a Liverpool fan from Merseyside. You can't have it. You can't have it when Liverpool, obviously up there, we're playing Liverpool in the next game. I just don't see how that's allowed. I mean, all of this stuff's out there. The information's there. Just type in Jared Gillett to Google. It comes up. It's kind of, there's a reason he's not been involved at any level, bar whatever, for Liverpool games for some time and not refed one. And then the Howard Webb stuff in stuff, I don't know what to say about that. He's definitely talking to someone and he's definitely in conversation with someone at the exact moment that they're reviewing the VAR stuff. I find that very, very odd. I also find it very, very odd that Sky Sports immediately comes out and tries to poo-poo it after basically proving that they've got Howard Webb on the payroll. So I find all of that really, really odd. I don't know if you want to add anything, boys, but I don't think we have to go crazy into it. All of that is really odd to me, I've got to say.
Have you seen the Carragher tweet?
That he deleted, yeah. Got told to delete it.
It got immediately deleted straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been doing. We've all got phones. He could have been doing anything, but it just looks so sus. And the fact that tweet's gone up and been deleted, and like you said, Sky have poo-pooed it straight away.
How silly are you, by the way? How silly are you to be the head of the PGMOL? One, be there. I don't know why you're there, to be honest, in visible sight. But secondly, to have a headset in, be on your phone at the exact moment it's going on. It's just really unprofessional, really dodgy. I mean, I don't know how he's not sitting there thinking everyone's going to be watching me right now. I better just look like I'm watching the game like everybody else. But he's not. He looks like he's in deep conversation at one stage. I mean, This is really, really odd, really dodgy, but again, not surprising. And like you said, you give them a chance to act by doing self-inflicted silly things, and all three of them, you can argue, all three of our red cards have been avoidable from our perspective. As much as I think they've probably would go the other way for a majority of the teams, I think they've been avoidable. So, yeah, I mean, Neil, after that, not a lot to shout about. I would say, as we've been very negative, rightly, so far, I think Thomas Partey was by far our best player for me in the game. I mean, I know you said Ranieri, but I'm probably starter. I actually think Thomas Partey has been our best midfielder all season. I think a lot of people have sort of talked about his lack of athleticism and, he's lost his legs a little bit, and I've kind of agreed with that. But at the same time, I don't think he was ever super rapid anyway to start with. So, but I think in this game, he had our best pass percentage. Actually, he had the most touches out of most of all of our midfielders anyway. I thought he came out of the game with a tiny bit of credit. Put it that way. I'm not going beyond that. But I also think in other games his quality's been a little bit undervalued. I think we should be looking far more at the £100 million midfielder that we don't know his best positions at the moment. And I think that one we should be looking at a little bit more because I think we need more from him. He speaks fantastic at the end of the game, but why can't you play better? Speak like you play like that then. Play like that. It's all the self-inflicted mistakes. I'm like, yeah, but it was your fault that they got a corner for the first goal, Declan, because you decided to do a little stupid chip out wide to Ben White and he went out of play. And by the way, I thought it was a foul on Ben White leading the corner as well. I think it is a foul on Ben White leading the corner, but I'm not going to go more on the refs. But I think Declan Rice, I think he was better in the second half, but I think he needs to do far more. I think he's a £100 million player, most expensive player we've ever bought, and we're still going, where do we play him? Like, why are we doing that about Declan? I think he needs to do a lot more. But I also think we probably need to give him a rest. I mean, the guy's relentless. He just doesn't stop playing for a club and country, does he? I don't know what your thoughts, Neil. I mean, am I being a bit harsh on Declan?
No, you're not being harsh. See, we were doing it now, aren't you? I mean, not you. I mean, we as a collective. All last season, we didn't even mention his price tag. And now, 8 games in, price tag's come up. So that sums it up, doesn't it, really? What is there to say apart from he's nowhere near the levels, nowhere near. I did say I think he's been a little bit better this game and I think the end of the last one.
He was, yeah, that's true.
But he's far from what he was. James, you were right to pick up on that point where I was thinking, why didn't he just have a go at the goal? Why did he still try to make an extra pass that wasn't needed? And just things like that. I know that's just one little example, but I just feel that when he was playing for us last season, you just felt that when he got the ball, something was going to happen. And I think, opposition players were really scared of him as well. And it's also like he's been not found out, but this is where I don't want to really go down this road. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have started it. I don't want to go down the road where we're going to start citing individual players and things, because I think collectively we were rubbish. I'm going to say it.
It's true.
We were just rubbish collectively. Right, Partey, yes, his stats proves it. And I think he probably has, as you said, been our better midfielders. And it's quite nice, actually, because everyone's always been worried that can he play game in, game out? Well, he's proving everyone wrong. Oh, everyone's been worried. Can he do 90 minutes per game? He's proving everyone wrong. So that's the both positives. But as a collective, Raya, another one. What's happened to him in the last 2-3 games? Oh my God, he was dreadful. There was one where he completely miskicked. He didn't even make contact with the ball, and that could have been a dangerous one. He played another one where he put us into danger, and he redeemed himself he managed to save the goal with his foot. I think his right foot. I can't remember where it was, but he did redeem it. But he's
You're right, he was dreadful, sorry.
Yeah, and he's flapping now, and to sit there and maybe look at Rice because of his price tag. I'm not going to do it just yet, Jack and James. I'm not going to do it just yet. But yes, he's got to improve big time. I don't know what's happened to him. It could be the number of games. All right, Saka seems to brush that off. Saka can probably play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and still be as good as he is. And he always, again, it's just an anomaly for me. He really is an anomaly as a player because the amount of rubbish he can take and still get up and carry on. Maybe Rice is suffering from that fatigue where he's on international duty. When are we going to learn to pull our players out, our key players out of these internationals? We might have done it with a couple of players, but do it with all of them. All of them, say they're all injured. Why not? What the hell? Because at the end of the day, all the other big teams are doing it, aren't they? And they've done it for years. We seem to be the only goodies. Oh no, let's be too honest. Let's get them to play our international. But I don't want to make any excuses even on that. I think Ben White is missing something big time, but I wouldn't be able to tell you for the love of me what that is. I don't know whether it's the personnel around him or the slight changes we've made to the team. I don't know, but I think that's still all excuses because on paper, guys, we've got a good team here. Let's not beat around the bush. I think we've got a really solid team. I didn't agree with the lineup, but I still thought it was a strong lineup. It's a lineup that should be able to put Bournemouth to bed. I'm sorry, they should, but we just can't seem to find any rhythm. But if we don't pick ourselves up from the very next game, we could be out of this title race within the next 2-3 games, as far as I'm concerned. Because if Liverpool manage to beat us, well, they could win today. If they beat us with 7 points behind them, I don't know how many points it'll be. And then we've still got to play Newcastle and Chelsea. And after these next 2 home games, we've got 4 away games on the trot, including the 2 Champions League ones, I think, 4 on the trot away. So we've really got to correct this issue now. And Arteta has got to learn to adapt to play with 10 men because he can't do it yet. He hasn't got a clue as far as I'm concerned, with his substitutions and the method that we were playing. Let's play this tippy-tappy safe game, and let's oh no, we got a chance of going forward here. Oh no, let's play it sideways and backwards to Rare. No, you can't do that. Yeah, you got to go for it, or you've got to at least show the fans that we are trying our best. And I'm sorry, it's a collective for me. I don't want to have a go at Rice just yet. It's a collective, but I think individually, yes, they all can learn something from the game yesterday, 100%. And Rice should hide his words. You're right, Jack.
No, so I'm not moaning. I think it's a great signing, Rice, but I just don't think he's done enough this season. That's my argument. I think he's been a great signing. I think he will continue to be. I don't think he's done enough this season. I also don't think it's helping us that we don't seem to quite know this season, for whatever reason, what his best position is. Last season we didn't really have that trouble. Wherever he played, he kind of made it his own. Whereas this season it feels like he's just uncomfortable where we're sitting him. And obviously Moreno came in, James, yesterday for his sort of full Premier League debut from the start. What were your thoughts? Obviously, a difficult game for him to come into. I thought he had some decent-ish moments, certainly, but on the ball again a little bit. He actually had one of our best chances of the game, which he should have scored from, or at the very least got it on target. It was actually decent play from Sterling down the right. It was probably one time he kind of got to go at his fullback. Again, difficult to judge, James, because he was playing in a position that he probably won't be playing in, more in that sort of Odegaard role, but then sort of playing higher as sort of a second striker at times. But we weren't on the ball enough to really see him affect us in the final third, were we?
Yeah, I mean, final third, like you said, his last ball was a bit lacking at times, but in terms of like the dueling and combativeness, which is what, was the main thing that I think we signed him on. In terms of his aerial ability and the way that he can win that ball, even win that ball high, I've got no questions with him there. And funny enough, you mentioned that chance. Nobody mentions that that's the deflection and it's a corner for us. Not that our corners were great yesterday. They weren't. They were terrible. But we got stitched up there with not getting a corner because even though he should have got it on target, it did actually hit that Bournemouth player's leg on the way there as well. So that's something that we got stiffed on, but we'll move on from that there. But I think when I first saw him, when he made these cameos, Jack, I saw him. Neil, you were on the podcast with me, weren't you? Where I said, I think the more I watch this guy, the more I'm going to like him. And I still stick with that. I think that there's going to be moments there this season where this guy is going to do things that are going to help benefit our side. So, I've got no real qualms with him. I don't want to jump the gun yet, Jack. So if you want to rein me in, because there's another big thing that I want to talk about. But I don't know whether to hold myself or to go for it, mate.
Is that the Martinelli chance before the goal, or is it something else?
It's not. It's after that.
Oh, okay. Let's go to the Martinelli. So we obviously did we'll come back to it. I'll definitely get you on it. But the Martinelli chance, obviously, a lot of people moaning about, even Mick Arteta sort of alluding that you have to take those types of chances in those moments. And I get where he's coming from, but I do think you're over-egging it to get super frustrated with Martinelli for missing a chance that I think Opta gave a 24% chance of going in. Obviously, I think it's a chance you probably should score, but it's not like a sitter as such. It's not like an easy chance either, and he's not done terrible with it. He's not ballooned it over the bar or anything. But our concern should be that was our only big chance in the game. Big players miss big chances. If you look at the data, all the guys that are the top scorers are also the guys that miss the most chances. So Salah, Haaland, Saka are all up there every year with most big chances. So it's volume. We need to create volume, and then you don't look at these. The reason we aren't talking about, look at all those big chances we missed against Leicester, is because we won the game. You know what? Because we kept creating them. And that's why. I know in a big game against, with 10 men, you're not going to create as many, but I don't think there's any fair argument to say you should be looking at one chance. I just don't think that's true. And I think you mentioned it, James, just then, sort of the way we play with 10 men. I think Neil said it as well. We figured it out against Brighton. We figured out how to play with 10 men against Brighton after we conceded. I don't know why he did what he did in this game. He should have done, I know we didn't have Saka, but he basically should have done the same thing with Martinelli and Havertz as a sort of 2-up thing. And that's what we should have done. And I don't really understand why he made such a defensive substitution. It's very frustrating to me. I don't really obviously hindsight makes everyone look smart, but it was pretty frustrating to me. But I don't think we should be looking at the chance. Afterwards, though, Neil, their goal Areola made great substitutions. 2 substitutions came on, 2 goal scorers, and I thought it was a great corner move. Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, it's a great move. It's a lovely little cut, flip back, and it's a great finish into the top corner, and there's not a ton you can do about it. I am a little bit annoyed about the way the corner happened, personally. Rice is silly. I think White's fouled, and I don't think it's been mentioned, but maybe it has. But again, you've got to do better, haven't you, Neil? Oh, sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, you got. You're talking about the second goal or the first goal?
The first one. Sorry, with the corner, I think they, I hold my hands up. This is a great goal from their perspective. Sorry,
it was. Yeah, no. The corner. I thought. I said it on WhatsApp. I said, "What can you do against that?" I think Anthony might have said, "Well, it was unmarked." The guy that eventually scored it, was it Christie? Can't remember.
He was,
but it was so fast. I said, but that was a really clever move, and I don't think you can really legislate for how or what you can do to stop that. I thought it was really clever. If we'd scored that from a corner, we'd be.
Oh, little pause. Sorry, little pause. We usually get this. Sorry,
yeah. I said if we'd scored that, we wouldn't have sat there thinking, oh well, the opposition should have done better. We would have been going, what a brilliant goal. We would, wouldn't we? So credit where credit's due. I said it on the chat. I said that was brilliant. Nothing that we can do about that. The point is, we didn't deserve any better because we've just been so abject. And I don't think, and to be honest, I saw the second goal come in as well. It's not as if we were trying to even just to get a point. A point would have been unacceptable. I said it. We can't even afford to draw. We got to win this. We got to win games like this. But I got to the point where I said to myself, "Look, let's at least try and get a draw." I was seeing nothing for that to happen. Absolutely nothing. So I thought, you know what? If they score a second, it don't even make any difference anyway, does it? All right, it puts a little bit more of a blemish on our away goal record, which up until we played City was 3 goals in the whole of 24 away, and now it's looking a lot worse. But to be honest, who cares about that? Because if you're going to lose 3 points, you're going to lose 3. It doesn't matter if it's 1-0, 2-0 or 3-0. In a game that really you should be doing a lot better. But the second goal, if I'm allowed to talk about it, I mean, Kyrgios going to get so much stick for it. But I think, James, you said it's not going to do him any favours mentally. Bring him in on a position where, as you said earlier, Jack, on the right, yes, it was his mistake. It was a stupid thing to do. And, we were punished for it with the penalty. But I just feel that how's this going to affect him mentally? Because, up until the game yesterday.
All right, little pause again. Carry on, Neil.
Sorry, am I paused again?
Yeah, up to the game yesterday. Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
Up to the game yesterday, I thought Kivy was done all right. He's looked pretty solid. I was quite surprised that actually, if we need him in an emergency or a rotation with a number of games we've got coming, he's all right. He looks pretty decent.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he's played out of position. He's made that mistake, and it could be quite bad for him mentally.
And he's subbed back off again
because he was subbed. Yeah, it's something about to say that he was subbed off again. And you saw his face. I don't know if you saw it, but they panned over to him when he was on the bench. And he looked forlorn. He looked really, really down. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is this? So if he plays again and again, it's a calamitous game for him. It could be in trouble. I think, James, you said it. I think you said it on the chat. The very, very same thing. So, all right. Again, I don't want to sit there and destroy Kiwi, or I don't even really want to destroy any, as I said earlier, anyone individually. But yes, it was a mistake by him. It led to the penalty. People were starting debating whether it was. I think I didn't really have any arguments. It was a penalty as far as I'm concerned. I would have been upset if Ray got sent off because he didn't do anything dangerous or anything like that. He did.
He was thinking about it when the ref he was going.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
Jared,
Look.
Jared.
I'm not gonna look. I put a tweet about Howard Webb. I took a picture of him doing what he was doing, and I put a tweet out about it. I'm not going to dwell on it. But the point I will make about all our 3 red cards, I think you said it, but I just want to say it. That wouldn't happen if it was any other team. And number 2, it won't happen again unless it's us. We always seem to create these new ways of getting red or yellow cards, don't we? But it only happens to us. So there is something, and I'm sorry, I will say, no, I'm going to say actually, there was something going on with Howard Webb because it was too in sync with what was going on. Because they were saying, oh no, everyone...
Sorry, getting a little stoppage here. Sorry,
paid by Sky. So you're gonna sit there and completely poo-poo this, yeah? That Howard has nothing to do with it. It was going, oh, it's just ridiculous that people are going to suggest that he'd be doing. Shut up, yeah. I'm sorry, Howard Webb was involved some way or the other. He was involved, and that's all I'll say. But yeah, I would have been really upset if Ray got sent off for that. I would have been fuming. Then I would have thought, all right, it doesn't matter how badly we paid, and maybe we deserve to lose. But I'm sorry, that is not a red card because he would have been then suspended, wouldn't he, for the next game or so, whatever it would have been. So I don't disagree with the penalty. I would have disagreed with the sending off, but it didn't happen anyway. So it's academic, and I think we deserve to lose 2-0. To be quite fair to both of you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they a certain club forced them to start releasing audio after a certain game last season. If it was a certain club as well where this happened, they'd force them to release the text messages because I'm telling you they would, and it would come out as well. But you won't ever get that because I think people think it's silly. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone could text, so it doesn't matter if you're on. He was on a call as well, by the way. He was talking, so that was there as well. But James, yeah, I agree with Neil. I think. A little bit worrying with Kivior, but again, it's on the manager. He shouldn't have brought him on to play right centre back. The concern is for next week at least, if Timber isn't back, he might be one of our options. I don't think he will play him, but he would be one of our options to play at right centre back, wouldn't he? Because we're really threadbare there at that point. We don't have anyone else at fullback if Timber isn't back. Tomiyasu's out as well. Obviously, you could always do the Partey thing at fullback. But obviously, that wouldn't happen. I don't think in that sort of level of game. So yeah, you don't want to completely crush his confidence, do you?
I thought that was disgusting from Mikel, if I'm being honest. I'm very rarely. I've had instances in the past where I've said stuff about him as a manager, but I think I've been very consistent all the way through in that I've always said that his in-game management and his substitutions are the big 2 things that I hit him on because I still don't believe that he's ever learned, and I still see online, oh yeah, but it's his first job. He's nearly been here, 5 seasons? 5 full seasons. Like, behave. I don't want to hear that now. And again, like we said earlier, 17 times he's had red cards and he's only won the game 3 times. Not good enough. Not good enough. And for me, when Tavares and Nottingham Forest had what happened to him, I thought that was the right thing to do. Because I was like, fans are getting on his back, take him out. Kivior, before that mistake, considering he's playing in a position that he doesn't normally play in, was fine. I actually thought, again, he was one of the better ones. But he makes a stupid mistake. And then this is what really, really, ground my gears yesterday. He takes him off. He hooks him. So to sub the sub is already, bad. Yeah. Because it shows, what I decided to change earlier to think that I'd get something. I got that. It's an admission that you've made a mistake as a manager by subbing one of your subs. But then he brings on the attacking players then when it's 2-0.
Reactive.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Now that we're dead and buried, you're going to go for it. Okay, Mikel, nice one. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, and for me, Is it Tuesday we play Shakhtar, or is it Wednesday? I think it's Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday, right? Yeah. He's got to play Kivior on Tuesday to bring him, because I've seen people calling him Mustafi, calling him, Stefanos, all of it. He's not that. Kivior is a very, very good player in terms of a squad player. He is arguably one of the best players that we can have in terms of when we've got injuries and stuff like this, people are forgetting how important this guy was. Last season in the league, Liverpool pocketed Salah, that guy. He was brilliant. That was where we all come on here and said, wow, we've discovered a player today. We found a player in Kivior. Yeah. And he's just completely ruined him. He should have left him on there when that full-time whistle went, because this is something I've seen in Mikel before, and I've really praised him for it. Run up to him, make him the first person that you go to, arm around him. Look, mate, don't worry about that, son. Next week, let's go. Because like you said, Neil, the camera panned to him on the bench, and then when the game finished, and they were all walking to obviously clap the fans, give fans their shirts, it was on him for ages. And he was just stood there. It looked like he was going to cry. He looked absolutely crushed. Mm-hmm. And I was like, your man management there was piss poor. Yeah, real piss poor for me.
Gave Trossard a hug, didn't he? Gave him a hug when he came
That's
on.
it.
And he's been at fault for 2 of our 3 red cards, to be honest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't start him at right centre back. I'd start him at left back. Don't keep moving him. I mean, he can play left back, left centre back. Stop moving him to right centre back unless it's an absolute, like literally we're bare bones. I don't see why we do that. I just don't understand it. Even at 10 men.
Tuesday, Jack, Saliba, you're still going to play him, aren't you? Because he can't play the weekend, so you're going to play him. Who needs a rest out of that back 4? Or I love Gabriel. I think Gabriel this season has actually been better than Saliba. I think Saliba's been really, really shaky this season compared to his normal standards. And do you know what? I'd sit Gabriel out and put Kivior even there, because for me, I think you need to play him to keep, because until January, unless you're going to sell him in January now, and he's surplus. I mean, that's the thing with Mikel. He's cutthroat. Once he thinks you're surplus, you are surplus. You ain't coming back. So, and I would be a bit, I'd be a bit upset to lose him, because if he goes and a replacement doesn't come in, you're back with a Tomiyasu and a Zinchenko who
never fit.
Well, and to be fair, when I watch them play, I don't really. At the moment, they're not giving me anything to trust them on.
No. We don't see enough Tomiyasu.
We love Tomiyasu, but you can't. You know that you're going to get 3 good games out of him, and then he's going to be out till the season after.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a terrible loss. I mean, it's a dreadful loss. It's really costly, and if you want to win anything, you can't lose games like that. And you can't play like that, and we're not going to win anything playing like that. So we've got to change fast. And the problem with it is it's the next game, certainly in the league, and I'm certainly not overlooking the Champions League either, because no game's easy in the Champions League. We have to win that, but in the league you're going up against the top of the league team, and they barely conceded all season, and they've looked very, 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 very strong. So it's going to be really difficult without Saliba and without Odegaard and possibly without Saka. I mean, that's just arguably our 3 best players right there. So that is going to be really, really difficult. I don't really know how we attack that, but we can't look at that until we look at Tuesday. Anything else, Neil, you want to say on this game? Dreadful loss, dreadful performance from manager and team.
Yeah, I just want to pick up a couple of things. One of the things James said, you talked about that there's no excuses anymore, because yes, it is our Arteta's first job, and while we probably could have wrapped him in a bit of cotton wool maybe the first 2 seasons, his 5th season in. He joined in 2019, for goodness sake. It's 2024. It's almost at the end of 2024 now. I don't think it's just the time that he's been there, but he's had so much backing from the board, which no other Arsenal manager's ever had, in my opinion. Well, not since the big money's come in. So there's no excuses as far as I'm concerned. He's been allowed to build his own team, We don't have it. We don't have anyone now left from from the Wenger era. I don't think. Maybe one on loan, but it's Reece Nelson, isn't it? I'm not sure. But anyway, at the end of the day, he's been allowed to build his own team. He's been given the full backing from the board in terms of acquisitions. And, he should know better by now in terms of how he manages games, how he manages players. And he should be a lot cuter with his substitutions as far as I'm concerned. It was so late to bring on the attacking players. I just don't understand it. But anyway, I don't want to go over the ground that you've already spoken about, but just wanted to say that. And the other thing is, this thing about, trying to appease Trossard, I think that's what it is. Ever since that goal he scored and he stared Arteta out, it's almost as if Arteta's become afraid of him. So, I've got to start him. I've got to play him. I've got to give him time. No, I've always said, I think, Trossard, you are much better. You are a much more effective player coming on as a sub, being a super sub, being an impact sub. I think Martinelli, for me, all right, I know there may have been an injury issue with this game, but I think generally Martinelli should be the one starting. And maybe Trossard, if needed, coming on as a sub. And I love them both equally. You know that, James, right? I'm not here to poo-poo Trossard, but I think Arteta is appeasing him at the moment, which is very unlike him because Arteta seems to be cutthroat when he needs to be with certain players. Sometimes I think harshly so, and then there's other times where I think you're not being cutthroat enough. Have some consistency, man. What are you doing? And again, I'm not here to sit there destroying Arteta. It's not an destroy Arteta pod, but there's a couple of fallacies I've seen him in yesterday's game, and you've got to sort this all out, man. That was all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, just on the injury front, we don't know a lot about Timber. I think he did mention that before this game, when he mentions every player and kind of claims that they're all in and out at the same time, he mentioned that Timber's not far away from this game. I presume if that's the case, we may see him for Liverpool, but I don't see how he risks him in midweek because, if he's fit for Liverpool, he starts. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. I mean, he's our best fullback by some distance, in my opinion, Timber. Even with the little we've seen of him in comparison to White and even you could argue Calafiori as Zinchenko, he is our best fullback. I mean, I think he's arguably one of our most important players if he's fit, Timber, which is probably why we're wrapping him in cotton. I'm not against him doing this because of his ACL tear and there's going to be these little setbacks. It's just normal in the first 12 months returning. But especially as a fullback too, it's different when you're a centre back or someone like that. Your ground covered is a lot lesser. But Neil, predictions: Shakhtar Donetsk in midweek. We have to win that. I mean, it's a home game. We have to find a way to win that. But I do expect and hope for 3 or 4 changes. One of the biggest ones I hope to see, but I've said it for about a month now. I'm getting bored of it. Is Ranieri, but I just don't think we're going to see him. But Neil, what's your predictions for there, and then predictions for the weekend, which is I think it's a Sunday 5:30 game. I think, which is a bit different. But no Saliba, no. Most likely, in my opinion, no Odegaard. I know he said it's a big week for him, but I find it difficult to believe he'd start in a game like that. Having been out so long, I don't see it. So, what's your predictions for both, Neil?
Both must-win games now because we've dropped points against Bournemouth as far as the Prem's concerned. And yeah, we've got to keep the momentum from the last win in the Champions League. And I know you're saying it's unlikely, but for me, Ethan is the answer. It's the answer. He's got to play.
At least in midweek. It would be understandable at the weekend, but in midweek.
No, 100%. Yeah, but the point is, if he does play him in midweek and he's an absolute star,
there you go.
He almost will pick himself for the Sunday game anyway. He's got to play him. Yeah. He's got to play him. What more do you want, man?
Yeah.
What do you want? Every time he comes on, he's doing something. What more do you want? I'm sorry, no. He has to play Ethan. It's not. That is my team selection, Ethan. Put 11 of him on the bloody pitch.
Yeah. He's fearless as well. That's a great thing about young players.
And I'm sorry, I know everyone might have laughed at me, but I really do see similarities with him and Messi. And I'm going to keep saying it. I don't care. He's an incredible player. And he can't not play him. So if you ask me about any changes or anything about the team, that is the one that I would make. Yeah, all the others, I think will be down to fitness of players for sure, I think. And yeah, you're right. Timber is a no-brainer either if he's fit. He's got to play him. But and I hope Saka's back. maybe he might be. You know what Saka's like, made of titanium. All right, I'll be quick because we don't want to go on about it too long. They're both must wins. You know me. I'm not going to do a loss or a draw. I think it'll be 2-0. We're not going to go into it. 2-0 Tuesday. And Ethan's going to score the first goal because he's playing. And Sunday, wow. 2-1. We'll edge a 2-1 and Martinelli, because he does seem to play good against the bigger teams. So 2-0 Tuesday, 2-1 Sunday.
Just on that, Martinelli is almost the first name on the team sheet against Liverpool. He has to be, I think, because their strength is also their weakness. I mean, they've got tons of strengths, obviously, Liverpool, but Trent's unbelievable. But his weakness is very apparent too, if you can expose it, and that's the player to do it. If we can do it, whether we can or not is another thing. But James, what's your predictions for the two and anything else?
Right. I'm going to do Tuesday because Tuesday is relatively easy. So I'm the same as Neil in that it'll be a 2. Yeah. But
your prediction is okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go the same as Neil with a 2-0. But I'm going to do Kai Havertz because I want to keep his record. I want to keep him scoring at home in consecutive games. I want him to tie with Henry. So, yeah, I'm going to go Kai Havertz for Tuesday. And then Sunday, Jack, and I hate to do this to you and the listeners and everybody else, I can't predict Sunday until I see who comes out of Tuesday okay.
Yeah.
I need to see who's going to play. By about Thursday, Friday, ask me again, and I'll give you an answer.
It's not going to be Saliba or Odegaard, unfortunately.
Exactly. I just look at it and think, who's going to go down on Tuesday? Or
Right.
what's going to happen to somebody through the midweek? Because at the moment, we are just, like I said, we are just collectively falling to all these injuries and everything else like that. But it is, I mean, I want to win every single game. I don't like losing a raffle with Arsenal, let alone a football match. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a reaction in both games. I don't think we're going to be nowhere near as bad as we were at the weekend because we can't afford to be. Yeah, exactly. And, I'll wait and I'll see it. And I know that we've had a lot, even in the last podcast that we did, where we said, where are we going to be at home, switched on this season? None of this complacency, none of this thinking, we're the Arsenal. I think next Sunday is that marker of where we can go, right, that is an absolute brilliant performance, not just from Arsenal, regardless, but especially at home, because the fans are going to be up for it. So the players have got to match it for me. I think, we're going to have, 5 o'clock Sunday under the lights at home against Liverpool. If these lot can't get up for that, I didn't like a lot yesterday, Jack, where there were so many saying, well, that's the league gone already. But I do believe the same as what Neil said. You go potentially 6, maybe 7 points behind Liverpool. I think if you go any more than 10, regardless of whatever stage in the season, behind either a Liverpool or a City, you're not making that up. So to go 7, yeah, it's a bit of a panic, especially when you've got Newcastle and Chelsea on the horizon after it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, no, understandable.
But, and again, with what you said earlier, Timber is key. If Jurriën Timber can come back straight for Liverpool, I'm feeling much better about that.
I'd love to just see him in the squad midweek. I don't need to see him to start. I'd just like to see him in the squad and maybe start White and give him 40 or 5 or something. Because he's, I'm hoping it's not anything. We didn't really see it, did we? He came off at half time against PSG. We didn't really see him pull up. I think they said it was maybe calf or something. So, yeah, don't know, but it's been a few weeks, isn't it? He had obviously the international break off, so you'd hope he's not too far away, but we don't know. Zinchenko was back in the squad, wasn't he? So he might get a start at midweek. I don't know. Maybe you'll see him there. Possibly. I'll go 3-1 in midweek. I'll go 3-1, and I'll go 3-1 Rice midweek, and at a week, I mean, I've got to say, responses are always a bit of a worry with Mikel as well, how you respond to games. We've had concerns about that in the past as well. And no Saliba, no Odegaard is a horrible thing. But we have to win, so I'll go 3-2 Arsenal. 3-2 Arsenal, and Havertz. I'll go 3-2 Arsenal and Havertz. But boys are going to try to avoid watching football until Tuesday night. What about, I think we'll all go with that, shall we? Avoid watching football until Tuesday night and turn it on, and like you said, hope for the best. Hope we don't kick ourselves in the foot again. Seem to do that in every game at the moment, don't we? Just kick ourselves in the foot. Suddenly you're down to 10 men, or you got a couple of injuries and you're thinking, what is going on? Again, it's been one of those, isn't it? Seasons as well, and very, very, very frustrating. But we've done it. We've recorded it. We're at Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter. We're at Purely Arsenal on YouTube. Just type in Purely Arsenal and you'll find all our podcasts there. We try to do one post-game one a week, even though obviously there's more than one game a week at the moment, but we try to do one a week. James, Neil, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I feel better after it than I did before it, so that's thanks to you two. And you can find all our acts on Twitter as well. We tag them in all our podcasts and everything like that, so feel free to give us some feedback. Up the Arsenal, massive week. Got to bounce back. Up, come on, boys.